Have you ever wondered if the retirement dream you've been working towards might unexpectedly turn into a nightmare? Imagine spending your entire career saving, planning, and striving for a peaceful, comfortable retirement, only to realize that the place you envisioned for relaxation and joy brings with it unforeseen challenges. The ideal retirement, which you once believed would be a place of peace and tranquility, might not be what you expected. In this video, we'll take you through the real-life story of the Parkers, a couple who, despite years of careful financial planning, found themselves facing struggles in their golden years that they could never have anticipated. This story shows that even the most seasoned experts are not immune to the pitfalls of retirement planning. You'll learn about critical mistakes that many retirees make when choosing a retirement home, the red flags that often go unnoticed, and most importantly, the valuable lessons that can help you protect your savings and overall well-being. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to properly vet any senior living facility before making a decision, why paying attention to the fine print in contracts is crucial, and how you can safeguard your retirement investments against potential risks. Additionally, we'll dive into the key factors that could either make or break your retirement experience in an assisted living facility. Don't let your retirement become just another cautionary tale. Watch until the end to learn how to make smart, informed choices for a secure and fulfilling future. If you haven't subscribed yet, I strongly recommend you do so now, and don't forget to activate the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support means the world to me, and if you found value in this video, please like and share it so we can continue spreading these important lessons. If you're enjoying the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you're not, leave a comment with 0 to help me improve and create better videos for you. Let's dive in. We didn't have any particular worries about money, James Parker recalls, with a hint of nostalgia in his voice. In many ways, they had been living a life of quiet comfort. Two people who had worked tirelessly, built a home, and raised a family. But over time, the charm of their 35-year-old suburban house started to wear thin, and the weight of its upkeep began to feel like an anchor. The house, which had once been a symbol of accomplishment and pride, now seemed like an overwhelming responsibility. The large garden that had once been a space of joy had become physically taxing to maintain. Every weekend, it seemed like there was more to trim, more to plant, and more to fix. The overwhelming realization that their beloved home was becoming too much to handle crept in slowly, but steadily, and it began to cause unease. For Mary, the anxiety intensified when she thought about getting older in that house. Going up and down the stairs was getting more difficult, she confided, her voice tinged with a sense of vulnerability she hadn't expected. And I started to worry about what might happen if one of us fell ill. These weren't just idle thoughts. They were real concerns that had begun to rob her of the peace she once took for granted. It was more than just physical strain. It was the nagging fear of what the future held, the uncertainty of aging and how they would manage the challenges that were sure to come. James could feel the weight of her words, and they hit him like a wave. Together, they made the difficult decision to leave behind their cherished home. They wanted to find a place where they could breathe easier, where they could enjoy the fruits of their hard work without the burden of constant worry. A place that would provide not just safety, but peace of mind. The search began in earnest. Countless hours were spent researching senior living communities, reading brochures, and visiting facilities that promised the kind of care and comfort they were seeking. But as they dug deeper into their options, something didn't feel right. The places were clean and well-equipped, but they felt more like hospitals, Mary said, her disappointment palpable. She wanted to feel like she was stepping into a new chapter of her life, not retreating to a sterile, clinical environment. James couldn't agree more. It's supposed to be our retirement, after all, he added, frustration creeping into his voice. We want a place where we can truly enjoy ourselves, where we can feel alive again. For them, retirement wasn't just about being free from the daily grind. It was about savoring the moments, rediscovering joy, and making the most of the time they had left. They longed for a space that felt more like a sanctuary and less like a hospital ward. After working so hard for 40 years, James had a simple dream for his retirement years: to live them free of stress and responsibility. They had earned this time, and they were determined to make the most of it. Yet, little did they know, their desire for a peaceful, carefree life would soon lead them down an unexpected and heartbreaking path. Despite his years of experience managing financial portfolios and investments for clients, James couldn't protect them from one of the most common pitfalls of retirement planning. "We never imagined we'd find ourselves in a situation like this," James and Mary reflect now, their voices tinged with disbelief and regret. It's a harsh reminder that no matter how well we plan, life has a way of throwing curveballs that we aren't prepared for. In the end, even the best-laid plans can fall apart, leaving us to pick up the pieces and try to move forward. One day, James received a message on his smartphone from his longtime friend and former colleague, Charles Yamamoto. Charles, a retired banker, had been enjoying life at a senior living facility that James and Mary had never even considered. The message included a photo of Charles and his wife, Susan, standing on a balcony, the sun setting over a breathtaking ocean view. The picture looked like something out of a luxury resort brochure, and the caption only added to the allure: "James, why don't you and Mary come visit us? It's like living on vacation every day." James, intrigued but skeptical, showed the photo to Mary, whose eyes lit up with a glimmer of hope. "It looks beautiful," she exclaimed. "Charles and Susan look so happy there." James immediately reached out to Charles, eager to learn more. The senior housing complex Charles and Susan were living in wasn't just a facility, it was an experience. Perched on a hill with panoramic ocean views, it offered every amenity imaginable. A hot spring bath to soothe weary muscles, a fitness center to keep them active, and even a cafe and library to indulge their intellectual curiosities. "Best of all," Charles explained, "there are a lot of people our age here, all forward-thinking individuals enjoying their second act." The idea of being surrounded by others who were also looking to embrace life after retirement was incredibly appealing. James and Mary were no longer looking for just a place to live, they were looking for a community, a place where they could thrive. A few days later, James and Mary made the journey to visit the facility. As they stepped through the entrance, it felt like they had entered a different world, a world of possibility, of leisure, and joy. The young staff member who greeted them with a warm smile made them feel instantly welcome. "Many couples move in together here," she said cheerfully. "Everyone thrives in this new environment." The model apartment they toured was nothing short of stunning. Spacious, well-lit, and designed with accessibility in mind. The large windows offered an unobstructed view of the ocean, and the thoughtful touches like handrails in the bathroom and hallways made them feel secure. Mary couldn't help but admire the layout. "We could live here with complete peace of mind," she said, her voice filled with a sense of relief. It felt right, like a place where they could truly enjoy the years ahead. As they toured the facility, they unexpectedly bumped into Charles and Susan, their smiling faces a testament to the life they had found there. For James and Mary, it was as though they had found the place they had been searching for all along. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. "We're so glad you came," Charles exclaimed, his voice brimming with genuine excitement. It was clear from the warmth in his eyes that he was thrilled to have James and Mary visiting. The four of them sat down together at the facility's elegant restaurant, savoring the beautifully prepared, well-balanced meal that was placed before them. The food was more than just nourishment. It was an experience, a delightful symphony of flavors and textures that seemed to transport them to a higher plane of culinary bliss. "The flavors and portions are just right. It's like dining out every day," Susan raved, clearly pleased by the delightful spread in front of her. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and the atmosphere felt rich with joy and camaraderie. It wasn't just about the meal, it was about the promise of what the future held for all of them, and the sense of comfort and security they felt in the present. After their meal, the Yamamotos, with their gracious smiles and welcoming demeanor, gave James and Mary a more in-depth tour of the facility. They showed them everything: the expansive library, the beautiful gardens, the peaceful walking paths, and all the incredible amenities that made the place feel less like a retirement home and more like a resort. Each discovery made their hearts swell with appreciation. The attention to detail was extraordinary, and as they walked through the halls, James and Mary couldn't help but feel increasingly impressed by the well-maintained grounds and the enriching lifestyle the facility offered. It was everything they had hoped for, and more. The facility, however, came with a hefty price tag. The requirements were steep: a $250,000 lump sum deposit, along with 3 years' worth of prepaid rent. It was a significant financial commitment, but one that didn't feel entirely out of reach. James, having a background in banking, took a deep breath and carefully reviewed the financials and business plan of the facility. The numbers were sound, and the facility itself was run by a subsidiary of a major developer, one with a strong reputation and a track record of stability. That knowledge reassured him. If we treat this as an investment in a secure future, it's not too expensive, James reasoned, allowing himself to relax just a little. The thought of securing a comfortable, fulfilling future for them both brought a sense of calm to his mind. Mary, full of optimism and excitement for this new chapter of their lives, wholeheartedly agreed. A week later, after much contemplation and heart-to-heart discussion, they decided to make the move. When it came time to sign the contract, the sales representative's reassurances were almost too good to be true. "We have a strong medical system in place, and there's a refund policy in case of emergencies. You can rest easy," they were told. James, though feeling a slight unease deep within him, dismissed it. The overwhelming sense of relief and anticipation pushed aside any lingering doubts. They were taking their first steps into a new life, one they hoped would bring them joy, peace, and contentment in their later years. In the beginning, everything about life at the resort-style senior facility felt like a dream come true. The first few months were idyllic. They woke up each morning to the soft, golden light filtering in from the ocean, the smell of fresh sea air mixing with the scent of freshly baked bread from the kitchen. They enjoyed leisurely, seasonal breakfasts in the restaurant that felt more like the start of an indulgent vacation than an ordinary meal. "It feels like we're eating at a hotel every day," Mary remarked with a satisfied smile on her face, basking in the serenity of the moment. Each day was filled with promise. They attended stretch classes to keep their bodies limber, swam in the heated pool to keep their spirits buoyant, and spent their afternoons in a variety of enriching activities. Mary dove into pottery classes, finding creative joy in molding clay, while James, ever the intellectual, spent hours reading in the library or playing chess with other residents. "We made the right choice coming here," they often reassured each other, their hearts filled with quiet joy and contentment. They met Charles and Susan twice a week for tea, enjoying the comforting presence of friends who had quickly become dear. Occasionally, they took the facility's shuttle bus into town for a little shopping, savoring the simple pleasures of small-town life. When their children and grandchildren came to visit, they stayed in the guest rooms on the premises, and those moments spent together, filled with laughter and love, were priceless. It felt like a community, a safe, welcoming place where they could both live well and grow old gracefully. But then, without warning, everything began to change. One day, they received an abrupt announcement. The operating company had been acquired by an overseas investment firm. "This acquisition will strengthen our foundation and improve service quality," an executive explained at a residence briefing, offering assurances that didn't quite reach the hearts of the people who had been so comfortable in their new home. It started with small changes that seemed harmless at first. The once seasonal dishes they'd come to love were replaced with reheated frozen meals, the reasons explained away as rising food costs. It was a small change, but one that left a bitter taste in their mouths. The quality of the food, once vibrant and satisfying, dipped noticeably. The portions grew smaller, and the meals lost the richness of flavor they had once enjoyed. The restaurant's beloved chef, the heart of the kitchen, left, and in his place were temporary staff who didn't have the same passion or skill. "The meals just don't taste the same anymore," Mary sighed, her voice tinged with disappointment. There was a sadness in her words, as if each meal was a small but significant loss of the dream they had built here. Susan Yamamoto, who had been a vibrant and active part of their lives, added, "I've been feeling unwell lately too," as though the changes were taking a toll on her body, too. It was a slow erosion, a gradual unraveling of the comfort and quality they had so eagerly embraced. The charm that had drawn them to this place began to fade, and the unsettling feeling that something was amiss lingered in the air. James and Mary, who had started this journey filled with excitement and hope, now found themselves questioning the decisions that had led them here. What had seemed like a secure and peaceful future now felt uncertain, and it left them with a quiet ache in their hearts. How could something so perfect slip away so quickly? Could they still trust the promises made to them, or had the foundation of their dream home cracked beneath the weight of corporate interests? As they faced these growing uncertainties, the future that once felt so bright now seemed just out of reach, clouded by the shadows of broken promises. Next, the medical system began to falter. The number of nurses on staff was reduced, leaving only one on night duty. Complaints about slow responses to health issues grew louder. When James experienced mild pain, it took over an hour for a nurse to arrive. The maintenance, too, began to slip. Elevator inspections, once regular, became infrequent. The bathhouse, which had once been a highlight, started to lose its luster. Hallway lights were left unreplaced, and areas of the facility began to show signs of neglect. Under the guise of cost-cutting, essential services were cut back. When residents voiced their concerns, the responses from management were always the same: "We'll address it in due time." The vibrant atmosphere that had initially attracted James and Mary to the place began to fade, and rumors started to spread. "This place is changing," residents whispered among themselves. James, who had been elected as the resident representative, submitted multiple requests for improvements, but no real action ever followed. It was clear to him that the facility's once promised quality was beginning to erode. Then, a shocking notice arrived for all residents. Due to rising operating costs, the monthly fees would increase by nearly 20%. The Tanakas felt the weight of anxiety settle over them as they struggled to come to terms with this news. Just a year after moving in, James received a message from Charles Yamamoto. "Sorry for the sudden news, we've decided to leave. We've reached our breaking point." That afternoon, Charles came by to visit, his face drawn and weary. He shared their struggles with James and Mary, delayed medical care when Susan's chronic condition worsened, subpar meals that had affected their health, and the exhaustion from unmet promises of service. "James, you need to make a decision soon. It's only going to get worse," Charles urged, his words sending a chill through James and Mary. That night, the Tanakas sat together and talked for hours. Gazing out at the night view, Mary quietly whispered, "Did we dream too big?" The weight of the reality they were facing was too much to bear. The next morning, James reviewed the contract. It clearly stated that significant service declines would allow for termination, but the terms regarding refunds were vague and unclear. Determined to leave, he approached the facility, only to be told, "Refunds require approval from the head office," with no concrete answers offered. A few days later, the Yamamotos left, and the Tanakas submitted their formal notice to depart. But new hardships quickly emerged. The facility demanded exorbitant restoration fees upon their move out, claiming that the wear and tear exceeded normal expectations, despite James pointing out that such conditions were covered under the original contract. The lump sum refund process was delayed indefinitely, with no clear refund amount being offered. Every time they inquired, they received vague responses like, "We're checking," or "under review at headquarters," with no real progress or resolution. "I'd never have treated clients this way when I was at the bank," James fumed, his frustration growing with each passing day. Meanwhile, Mary's health continued to decline, and she lamented, "This isn't how it was supposed to be. We worked hard for this." 3 months after their decision to leave, no progress had been made. Without clarity on the refund, the Tanakas were unable to plan their next steps. To think our retirement dreams would unravel like this. Sleepless nights became routine for James, his 40 years of financial expertise unable to navigate the mess they found themselves in. It was a sense of helplessness he'd never known before. One night, Mary gently took his hand in hers. "We can't give up here. There must be others feeling the same way," she said softly. Her words became the catalyst for his decision to fight back. He immediately contacted the Consumer Affairs Center for help. The counselor listened patiently, explaining that similar complaints had surfaced, confirming that this wasn't just their problem. Following the counselor's advice, James sent a formal demand letter via certified mail. But still, the facility's response remained evasive and unhelpful. Feeling desperate and cornered, the Tanakas decided to seek legal counsel. They were recommended a lawyer who specialized in senior issues. "This is a clear violation of your contract," the lawyer declared, pointing out multiple breaches, such as the significant decline in services, the failure to hold the facility accountable, and the unjust delays in issuing a refund. "Going to court would take time and money," the lawyer continued, "but let's try negotiation first." He sent a formal notice to the facility outlining the legal concerns, which finally prompted the facility to respond more concretely. Unfortunately, the offered refund was paltry. Only $45,000 of the $250,000 deposit they had originally paid, based on the contract's deduction clauses. "We can't accept these unfair terms," James said firmly. Together with their lawyer, they opted for mediation, where a neutral third party would attempt to facilitate an agreement between them and the facility. During the session, James meticulously detailed the discrepancies between the promises they were given and the reality they faced, backed by records of ignored requests for improvements. The facility, however, blamed unavoidable changes in the business environment for the decline in services. Mediators noted the facility's failure to uphold its responsibilities, but despite these observations, the mediation process stalled. The facility refused to budge, and the proposed refund remained completely unacceptable. After the third failed mediation session, the lawyer said, "Going to court may be our only option." Litigation meant more time, energy, and legal fees. But James saw this as a fight not just for themselves, but for the many others suffering under similar circumstances. "Mary, should we fight this all the way?" he asked, determination in his voice. "Yes, I'm ready," she replied, her resolve clear. Together, they made the difficult decision to sue, and their lawyer began crafting a case based on breached promises, neglected duties, and delayed refunds, drawing on legal precedents to support their claim. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. "We'll reclaim our rights, I promise you," the lawyer vowed, offering the Tanakas a glimmer of hope. This would be their final and most significant battle. To prevent others from making the same mistakes, James began sharing the lessons he had learned from his ordeal as a seasoned financial expert who had been caught in the pitfalls of senior housing. Here's a summary of the key takeaways. First, thoroughly vet the operating company. Look beyond surface-level information. Check the company's financial health, sustainability, and track record. Recent buyouts by investment funds can drastically shift policies without warning, James reflected. We should have prioritized long-term safety and security over the flashy appeal of the place. We needed to think 10 or 20 years ahead, not just focus on the luxury of the moment. Second, scrutinize every detail of the contract. Understand refund conditions, service change clauses, termination procedures, bankruptcy protections, and fee adjustment rules. We should have hired an expert to review the contract, especially the refund terms, James noted. Third, seek out feedback from as many residents and families as possible, particularly those who have lived there long-term. Their perspectives will give you an unfiltered view that goes beyond the promotional materials. When it comes to retirement funds, James cautioned, Investing everything in one place is a huge risk. He strongly recommended diversifying, keeping some savings in safe, steady income investments, some in liquid emergency funds, and the rest in long-term value assets. Make sure you always keep cash reserves for unexpected costs, he advised, and never pay the full contract amount up front. James also stressed the importance of maintaining multiple housing options, whether it's owning a home with support services, renting a senior-friendly apartment, or considering care homes. This way, there's flexibility, rather than putting all your eggs in one basket. He offered one final piece of advice. Our generation was taught not to distrust others, but in today's complex world, cautious skepticism is wisdom, especially when it comes to managing retirement assets. These lessons aren't just for seniors, but also for those who are planning for their parents' futures. Finally, James spoke softly, his voice heavy with the weight of experience. Even I, with 40 years of financial expertise, fell into this trap. But it's not just our issue, it's a risk that anyone planning for retirement might face. Mary, her voice filled with quiet strength, added, "It was tough, but we don't want our story to go to waste. If sharing it can help others make better decisions, then it's worth it." Retirement housing is a major life decision. Behind all the appealing promises, beautiful facilities, great services, and luxurious comfort, are risks that need to be carefully assessed. Key tips: have experts review the contracts, investigate the company's long-term stability, diversify funds, secure support contacts, and most importantly, cherish the bonds with family and loved ones. As we wrap up today's video, we want to hear from you. What have you learned from the Tanaka's story and their experience? Is there something specific you'll take away and apply to your own life or retirement planning? Please comment below and share one key takeaway that you plan to put into practice. Your thoughts and feedback mean a lot to us, and we love hearing how these lessons resonate with you. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. By subscribing and turning on notifications, you'll stay updated with all the latest content that helps you make informed decisions for a secure and fulfilling future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.